These are the notes for your interactive notebook for the subject pronouns lesson. You can go ahead and pause and highlight what is needed on this page. Again, this page is supposed to go on page 48, and you can put your title as subject pronouns or Spanish subject pronouns or whatever you would like it to be. So go ahead and pause, but one thing I want you to correct is here I wrote in all. This should not, this one and this one down here, vosotros, vosotras, and ustedes, they mean you all, and somehow it just says you. So go ahead and make sure you write in you all right there, and then pause and highlight. I will also make sure I zoom up on this section in just a moment so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Okay, if you are finished, I'm going to zoom out and then explain the other side of the page. Now, in the lesson that you're about to hear, I will explain all of this, but first just want you to set up your interactive notebook. This is the other side of the page of your interactive notebook. This is page 47, and this chart should go on that page. Make sure you put a title at the top, and you can go ahead and highlight this page as well. You're going to see this chart again in the video lesson that I am going to start in just a moment. Go ahead and fill this chart out just as you see the chart in the lesson filled out. Alright, so let's start the lesson.
Hola, this is Mrs. Hirschman, and today's lesson is going to be on subject pronouns, or as we say in Spanish, pronombre personal de sujeto. Subject pronouns identify the subject of a sentence, and typically it can be people's names, like Gregorio or Ana. For example, we could say, Gregorio escucha música. Gregory listens to music. Or Ana canta y baila. Anna sings and dances. You use subject pronouns to tell who is doing an action. The subject pronouns in English are I, you, he, she, we, and they. We are going to use subject pronouns to replace people's names in the instance that we already know who we're talking about and we don't need to say their name again. For example, él escucha música. We already know that we're talking about Gregorio, so we don't need to keep saying his name. So to simplify it, we say él or he. Or another example would be ella canta y baila. She sings and dances. She meaning that is Anna. And we already know that we're talking about Anna, so we don't need to say her name again. This chart I'm going to use to break down the Spanish subject pronouns for you. This is the same chart that you have in your interactive notebook, so you can fill it out if you prefer to pause first and fill it out, or you can fill it out as you listen. This is a conjugation chart. We haven't learned conjugation yet, but that will be the next thing, the next lesson that you will hear and what you will learn. I am going to break down the subject pronouns in the conjugation chart so that you get familiar with it and you know which box represents which pronoun. This first column, we have actually already learned all of these pronouns. We just did not attach that name to it. Yo, we learned, is I. Yo talks about yourself and only yourself. Then you have tú, which we learned very early means you, but this is informal, so you're going to use this with people that you are very familiar with or that are your own age or younger. Then we have él, ella, and usted. All of these pronouns are the singular pronouns. Él refers to he, one singular, male. Ella refers to she, one singular, female. And then usted is also you, the same meaning as tú. However, this one is formal, and we did learn that already. So you're going to use that with people you need to be formal with and show respect to, people that are older than you. Now all of this side is new, and to start at the top, nosotros and nosotras mean we. So you are going to use this anytime you are involved with a group of people. You have to be in this group to be able to say we. So you can remember that it's anyone and you, and that's when you're going to use nosotros and nosotras. Now these two pronouns have a masculine and feminine form. So if you are talking about a group of guys mostly, you will use this. When you are in a group of all guys, including yourself, then that is going to be nosotros, because that is describing a masculine group. However, in Spanish, if you have mixed genders, even if it is 20 girls and 1 guy, then you are going to make the pronoun masculine. It doesn't matter how many girls are in there. If there's just at least 1 guy, you have to go with the nosotros form. Then there is nosotras, which is all female. So ladies, if you are in a group of mixed genders, but you're in there as well, you would use nosotros. But if it's a group of all girls, then you're going to say nosotras. Then we have vosotros and vosotras. This is actually only used in Spain, and it means you all. So it is a plural form of you. It is actually the plural, in Spain, it is the plural form of tú. So that's what they use to say you all in Spain. So you can remember that tú plus tú equals vosotros. And what I mean by that is if you are referring to a group of people that you are familiar with, that you on an individual basis would refer to as tú, then you would refer to that whole group in Spain as vosotros and vosotras. Now this one also has genders attached to the end of the word. So again, if you are referring to a group of all guys or mixed gendered friends or a group of people, then you're going to go with vosotros. But if you are referring to a group of all female, then you would refer to vosotras. Now this is the plural box of this, okay? So ellos means they, ellas also means they, but this one up here talks about all male, so this is the masculine form of they, or just as we talked about up here, it can be mixed gendered. Ellas refers to all female and no guys. No guys are allowed here, sorry. And then you have ustedes. Ustedes, or you can abbreviate it UDS period, is the plural form of usted. So in Spain, the plural form of tú is vosotros. But since this is only used in Spain, ustedes is used everywhere else in the Spanish-speaking world. So if you were talking to a familiar friend, you would say tú. But if you're referring to familiar people, but it's a group of friends, and you want to say you all, and you're not in Spain, then you would use ustedes. Okay, so we have tú, which is the familiar you, which is singular. Usted, which is the formal you, which is singular. And then we also have 2 plural yous, or you all, you would say you all. Vosotros, which is only used in Spain, and then ustedes for everywhere else in the Spanish-speaking world. Okay, so it might be a little strange, but that's how it's broken down. And then ustedes, you don't have to worry about gender because it doesn't change, so you can refer to ustedes as a group of all guys or mixed gendered. And another important thing to know before I move on is that when we start to learn conjugation, you will want to know which box is singular and which box is plural. That will help you a lot. That's why I put singular, not meaning this whole entire column, although it does refer to all singular pronouns. But this box in particular talks about singular people, singular subjects, not talking about yourself or not talking about you, the familiar, but this box you will want to remember is singular, and this box over here you will want to remember is plural. That will come in handy later on. Another important thing to know is that you can combine a subject pronoun and a name to form a subject. Some ejemplos would be Alejandro y yo. If you don't want to keep saying Alejandro y yo did this, Alejandro y yo did that, that would be very repetitious and unnecessary because everybody is going to know who you're talking about. So instead of repeating Alejandro y yo all the time, then you can replace their names or these pronouns in the name with nosotros. So now you can just say nosotros or we did this, we did that. Carlos y ella would be ellos. Now notice we do have a mixed gender here, so it doesn't matter that the girl is involved, we have to go with the masculine form, which would be ellos. Pepe y tú. Now, Pepe y tú insinuates that this is a group of people that you're being informal with. Now you have two options here. Because in Spain they use vosotros, you could go with that. Or everywhere else in the Spanish-speaking world would say ustedes. So either one of these would actually be correct for you all. Okay, so instead of saying Pepe y tú, you would say you all. Lola y ella, so Lola and she would be ellas. So this is a group of all girls, so we have to go with the feminine form. And then lastly, Marisol y yo. Marisol y yo insinuates that I am a part of that group. So instead of saying Marisol y yo all the time, then we would say nosotras. Now, I am female, so because I am a part of this group, and Marisol is a girl, and there are no guys involved, I am going to say nosotras. Okay, guys, if you were to say the same sentence, then you would actually have the same example as up here with Alejandro y yo. Ok, vamos a practicar ahora. If we had Isabel, Esteban y tú, and we didn't want to have to keep saying their names, then we would have two options actually as to what we could use, which pronoun we could use here. We could either use vosotros. If we were in Spain, we would have to use the masculine because we have Esteban, and therefore it's not all girls, so we can't use the feminine form. So we're going to use the masculine form. Or if we were anywhere else in the Spanish-speaking world, we would use ustedes. Mi familia y yo. There's actually two options here as well. You are involved in this group, so it is going to be we, nosotros. However, familia is always feminine, even though it's a group of people that most times would be mixed-gendered. It just is feminine. So ladies, if you are a part of this group and you're saying the sentence, then you would actually say nosotras. Mi mamá y mi papá. So my mom and dad. You would refer to them as ellos. Juan y María, instead of saying Juan and María. Since Juan's a part of this group and it's mixed gendered, we are going to say ellos as well. Now we have Natalia y Carmela. These are both girls. If we were to refer to them, we would want to say they, which we would say ellas. And then lastly, ella y tú. Ella y tú is very similar to the first example, except the difference is that these are both female ladies if you are talking about this. If this person is a lady, then we would say, instead of vosotros, we would say vosotras. Or we could say ustedes. However, if we're not sure who this person is, if it could be a guy, then we would end up with vosotros as well. Okay? Hopefully you understand subject pronouns, and if you have any questions, please write them down for me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions in class. Gracias.
One last thing I want to explain that is in your interactive notebook is this extra notes page. This page is on page 50, and the reason I gave you this is that it is the same thing that I just went over in the video lesson, but it is much more detailed. This kind of gives you an idea and a look at every kind of scenario that people's names and different people that you may talk about will fall in the pronoun category. And I'm not going to go through this whole entire thing with you right now, but do make sure you look through this, because this is going to be a really great study tool when it comes to your quiz that you're going to have and your test. So make sure you scan through this and look at all of the examples that I gave you and pay attention to the stars here because there is a footnote about those. This I also explain in the video lesson. But one thing I don't want you to do is if you go to this other side of the page, this is the same chart that you have on the right side, but it is blank. And the purpose of this is not for you to fill it out, but to help you study. Okay, and so that's also what these questions are about down here. What are the important things to remember about these starred items? What are the important things to remember about these items marked with an asterisk? That's to ask yourself that question and see if you can get it right. And if you cannot get all of this right, then go ahead and that tells you that you need to study this a little bit more. Okay? Thank you.